To get us started with our portraits of Mei Mei, just to start with a basic shape, and that shape's going to be a circle here. And so right towards the middle of our paper, you want to draw in a circle. I'd say about the size of a baseball, or even an orange is a good size here as well. And as you can see, here's keeping my circle very light, really rough and sketchy. I just really building up my circle with lots and lots of curved lines. Once you've got your shape in place, next step to add in are what we call guidelines, to help us place in some of Mei's features here. And so we're going to hop to the top of our circle and very lightly cut our circle right in half, right down the middle. And this line is just showing us that Mei is going to be facing towards us. And about halfway down our circle, we're going to like stretch across a horizontal guideline here. And this line is going to help us with placing in Mei's eyes. And for our final set of guidelines, just to figure out where her ears are going to sit, we're going to go right to the middle of our circle, and we're going to sketch in this very big letter B. It's going to pull right towards that center. And this is going to give us that rough 45-degree angle that Mei's ears are going to sit at. And this will give us our basic foundation for Mei Mei, but it looks nothing like her. And now that we have this foundation in place, first feature we are going to add in for our red panda are going to be her cheeks here. And when it comes to placing of those cheeks, we're going to hop to the side of our circle. And just above our guideline here, we want to lightly stretched out letter C curve. And as I bring this curve up and around, I'm just blending this curve right into the bottom of my circle here. I'm going to keep this side still very light, it's very sketchy at first. Just in case I make her other cheek too big or too small, I can always go back and readjust. And so on this right hand side, we'll bring that same curve on right. And so it should look like we're turning our circle really more into this very big bow bun kind of sitting here on our paper. Now once you've got her cheeks in place, her head here is going to be the first feature that we want to go back and lock in. Now for any of my new timers here, whenever we say locking in, that's really just a fancy way we like to say really bold or darken in your favorite lines from those ones that we started with. It is pretty ironic that her head shape here is just like a bow though, because the director of Turning Red, Domi, was also responsible for directing the bow short as well. If you don't remember that short, it's a short where the mother eats her child. And I was able to share Domi's journey because before she was found by Pixar, she actually shared a lot of her comics and artwork on the social media site Tumblr. And so that's where Pixar really caught onto her. And so when they hired her, they trusted her with directing her own short. And with the success of Bao, that's how she was able to direct her own animated feature. Now, once you've got her head nice and dark, we don't want to leave Mei as a bow sitting on our paper. And so when it comes to adding in her ears here, her ears are very much similar to like a cat's ears. Very much these rounded triangles. And so I'm going to start back in a light and sketch mode. From my guideline here, I'm going to have you build up what's going to look like this very big gumdrop for her ear. As prior to her namesake, red pandas aren't actually similar to red pandas at all. They're more related to raccoons. And so her ears very much resemble more like cat ears or raccoon ears here. With that ear place, she does have a fold on the inside. And so you want to go to the top of your gumdrop and just add in this very big letter C curve, just a backwards parenthesis. And since she is a red panda, she does have this white fluff on the inside of her ear. And so when it comes to adding in that fur, you want to go right to the bottom here. And we're going to add in just a small little shark fin with a blade of grass. She is a pretty furry character, so furry in fact that even her best friend Abby says that she's so fluffy. And so she does have some more of that white fluff right along the side of her head. So just below her ear here, you want to add in 2 more little shark fins right along the side. Now in Adobe, she was trying to think of what animal she wanted Mei to turn into. She said that she chose the red panda just because she thought red pandas were so cute. But as she was doing her research on these animals, she never realized how similar red pandas are to teenagers. For example, when it comes to their living habits, they do tend to cling to the mothers a lot, and they do tend to sleep all day as well. When it comes to their eating habits, red pandas tend to eat bamboo, even though it's bad for their stomachs. So very much kind of similar in that sense as well, very rebellious. And with Domishi, being Chinese Canadian, she loved that red panda's fur colors are red and white, which are also similar to the Chinese and Canadian flag as well. So a little homage to her culture there. Now, once she got her ears and that fluff in place, this pretty much gives us what we call our silhouette for Mayday. She's definitely looking a little bit more familiar now. And so when it comes to giving this red panda her face here, we're going to start by adding in her nose. And her nose is this very small little half circle that's going to sit right in the middle of where our two guidelines cross. And so in the middle here, I'm going to add in just a small little half circle. And since her nose is that darker shade of brown, you're more than welcome to shade this in nice and soft, just an added contrast here. Now, with her being a red panda, she does share a similar feature to dogs and cats. That little slit that they have below their nose, what we call their philtrum here. And so when it comes to adding that in, just right below your half circle, you want to lock in just a bit of that guideline right below. And her nose does rest on the snout. And so for this next shape, you want to think of the shape of her snout really like we're building up this upside down part. And so I'm going to break this down into two parts, going right below that split here. And I'm going to build up the first half of my heart shape, just pulling up this very stretched out letter J, a little upside down candy cane. And as I bring this letter J up, I'm just extending this right above her nose on that right to my center guideline here. And on this right hand side, same thing on the right. We'll bring down another letter J to really complete that heart shape for her snout here. Now, Mei here is a pretty happy character through most of this film, especially when she gets that chance to meet Four Town. And so when it comes to giving her a smile here, we want to give her what we call an open mouth or laughing smile. And so to start that smile of hers, we're going to go to the sides of her snout here, and we'll add in some smile lines first. Now these are just a couple of rainbows on the sides, just to show us that her cheeks are going to be pushed up as she smiles nice and big here. And so to give her that nice big open mouth smile, for right between our two rainbows, we're going to bring down this very steep letter U, and we'll go ahead and stretch this right to the bottom of her head here. And I'm going to keep her smile nice and light, really sketchy, before I really lock this in. With this open mouth smile, on the inside here, we are going to be seeing her upper set of teeth, as well as her tongue. And so when it comes to adding in those teeth here, you want to go just below her snout, and very lightly, we're going to stretch across a letter U here. The reason why I want to keep that U shape nice and light though, is because since we are drawing her in her red panda form, she actually does have some little canine fangs to her. And so when it comes to adding in those fangs, you want to go to the ends of that letter U, and we'll keep these fangs nice and soft by adding in these very rounded letter V's. Just a couple of candy corns for those fangs here. And when it comes to adding your tongue, right towards the bottom of her mouth, you want to add in a little rainbow right towards the bottom. Now, one of my favorite scenes in this film would actually have to be those close-up shots of May's dad cooking. Very reminiscent to like Studio Ghibli films, if you've ever seen how they depict movie in those movies. And that wasn't done by mere coincidence though. That's because Domishi, when she was creating the story for Turning Red, she was very inspired by a lot of Studio Ghibli films growing up. And so when she was trying to think of a working title for this film, she originally wanted to call this movie My Neighbor Toronto. And My Neighbor Toronto. Now, once she got her smile nice and locked in, the last detail we need to add in for the lower half of our red panda are her white stripes that sit on the sides of her cheeks here. And so when it comes to adding in these stripes, I like to think of these shapes as a couple of rounded ocean waves. And so I'm going to start on this left-hand side, but right along the edge of her smile, we're going to build up that inner part of our ocean wave by pulling up this very stretched out letter C curve, which is a really big parenthesis. And as I reach my guideline here, I'm going to round out the tip of our ocean wave, and so I'm going to add in just a backwards letter C here. And from the end of my letter C, I'm going to stretch out a little rainbow and just lightly connect this right along the side of her head. For my fans of Turning Red, does anyone remember what year this film takes place in? Yeah, it's right in 2002, which if you were a kid during those times, very much a prime year for us all. We had some amazing toys during that time, amazing Tamagotchis, Robo-Dogs. Before iPods, there was a hit clips that we were listening to for like 15 seconds. It was also the era of boy bands, lots of boy bands during that time, like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Boys to Men, 98 Degrees, Motown, Hanson, this goes on and on and on. I was very much a big boy band during that time. Once you got those stripes in place, the hardest parts of our drawings are complete, and you all reach about more than halfway done with your sketches of May. And so now it's time for us to really bring this red panda to life. When it comes to adding in her eyes here, since she is a teenager, her eyes are very big and expressive. And so to add in those eyes, we're going to go just right along the top of her snout here. And from the side of our heart shape, you want to sketch in some very big circles for the starts of her eyes. This first one nice and light, in case it makes some adjustments there. That's about how big you want to make the eye. So when it comes to adding in the details for her eyes here, this next step is totally extra credit, a little optional step here. But what I like to do with those circles in this is actually thicken up the tops of her eyes just a little bit more. This is going to give May what we call a lash line here. But we don't want to leave her like this here. Otherwise, she's going to look like she's seen some things in Canada. Looking a little spooky here. And so when it comes over here with her pupils, this is where you can get creative with your sketches. You really have May looking any way you like. Maybe up, down, cross-eyed. You can add in some hearts, stars, maybe a 4 and star for Four Town, even though there's 5 of them. For me though, I like to keep her nice and classic. I'm adding in these very big circles, really filling in all of that white space on the insides of her eyes here. One of my favorite things about her design are definitely in her eyes. And so I like that scene where she's getting that kitten test done on her as her pupils get super big. So if you want to add in that double highlight, just like in that scene, I like to add in 2 small little circles on the inside here. In addition to Studio Ghibli being one of Domi's inspirations, another big inspiration for her growing up was a lot of Japanese animes. And one anime in particular that was a big inspiration for this film was actually Sailor Moon. And you can definitely see it in this film, especially with how her eyes get big in this scene, even in the scene where you see her and her aunts transform into the red panda forms, very much similar to the Sailor Scout transformations as well. Once she got maybe nice and awake, to make her a little bit more expressive here, we do want to give our red pandas some eyebrows. And I like to think the shape of her eyebrows, feel like we're building up these little teardrops, raindroplet shapes. And so you want to go right above her eye here. And we'll build up the outer part of her eyebrow, just adding in these sideways letter B's. Then to really complete that teardrop shape, you want to close off the ends here with the letter C curve. And definitely make sure you make these eyebrows nice and big. She may be a product of the early 2000s, but she doesn't have those pencil thin brows. Once she got those eyebrows on point, really the last detail we need to add in for our red panda are going to be her whiskers. Now her whiskers are a little bit more rough around the edges. They're not perfectly smooth like any of her aunts. And so you want to go right inside of her white stripes here. And with a shaky hand, just add in 3 whiskers here on each side. Now, once you got those whiskers in place, that's going to be the last step that you need for sketches of this red panda. And so this is the time in the drawings when you want to go back in, do some touch-up work, really darken in any lines that might have faded away in the drawing process that you'd love to stand out nice and dark. If you want to add in some extra credit here, feel free to make this look like May's middle school here, notebook here. I'm going to age myself, but when I was in middle school, I was drawing this in my notebooks a lot. For some reason, this letter is super here. But once you got all of that in place, really the last mark any artist truly needs to make on their work before it's complete are going to be your signatures. So make sure you do find a spot somewhere next to your drawing here. And go ahead and sign big and proud, because you have discovered how to draw your very own portrait of